Donald Trump has never been more desperate to hide his Epstein scandal, to try to fix his plummeting approval rating, and to try to blame Democrats for this government shutdown that he is responsible for. And so Donald Trump, in his moment of desperation, has resorted to one of the most embarrassing moments of his presidency so far, and he just got caught in it, faking a video that he posted that is blowing up in his face because it shows just how pathetic, weak, tired, and scared that Donald Trump is. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this fake video that Donald Trump had to share to try to blame Democrats and lie about the shutdown, I want to start with someone who has been telling the truth on the shutdown, why it's Trump's fault, how it relates to Epstein, and everything you need to know. It's Jasmine Crockett right here.
So the House is out, and it was supposed to come back next week. Now it's not coming back next week. What has been communicated about how long the House is going to be out? It seems like the idea is that you don't come back before the shutdown ends, which seems difficult to do if you want to actually negotiate some end to the shutdown.
Yeah, that was my question, because I said, is it that we're not going to go back until and unless the Senate passes the House's version? Because what if the Senate actually does come to some sort of an agreement,
right,
and the Senate passes a version, then we need to come back. So that particular member did not know, but his stance was that he was like, aren't the Dems going to cave? So, right, I don't know. I don't work in the Senate, you know what I mean? But I haven't heard anything about any caving going on. And I think this issue is just too important. And, this is actually a really ripe time to have these conversations, because one of the reasons I'm sure that Rep. Green knows that the premiums are going to double is because this is when people are actually going through the renewal process, right?
Yep.
This is when most people are signing up for their plans. And so now they are seeing in real time what the estimated cost is going to be. So I do think that is a fight worth waging, because it's not just about Rep. Green's children. It's about everybody's children. It's about everybody's grandparents as well. And so I think that the Democrats, again, are on the right side of history. And every single time the Republicans have tried to, in some way, get rid of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare or the marketplace, it has really backfired in the most bipartisan way. And so now that the American people are paying attention and they understand why this standoff is taking place, I'm pretty confident that the American people are standing with the Democrats as it relates to what it is that we're fighting for in this moment.
Quickly, last question for you. Earlier today, Mike Johnson said he would swear in Adelita Grijalva whenever she wants. That was his words, as soon as she wants. And then a few hours later, his office put out a statement saying he's not planning to allow Democrats' newest member to be sworn in until her party agrees to end the government shutdown. One seems to have nothing to do with the other. Like, he could swear in. They've sworn in Republican members. Do you think this really is about signatures on that discharge petition, the Epstein files?
This is absolutely about Epstein. This is absolutely about Epstein and not wanting to take that vote. It was my opinion that the White House was going to work on getting some of the Republicans off of the discharge. We only have 4. But, another thing about this is that we could be working, Chris. We could be passing actual appropriations bills. The reason that we need a CR is because we've not passed the 12 appropriations bills. So we could come back and do some work, considering the fact that we are getting paid, so that, you know what? They can go ahead and send it to the Senate, and then they don't have to worry about a stopgap. Instead, they would actually have done their jobs.
In many ways, Donald Trump wants this shutdown. I know that sounds crazy to say, considering how unpopular it is making him, how weak it is showing that he is, but it's doing one thing really effectively for Donald Trump, and that's keeping us from talking about the Epstein files. Now, I'm going to continue to talk about the Epstein files. Jasmine Crockett's going to continue to talk about the Epstein files, but it is their excuse to prevent that 218th signature. So not only has Donald Trump shut down the government because he wants to attack federal workers, he wants to continue to break the law, and because he can't negotiate, but it's also to hide from Epstein. And I think that we need to make that clear every time we are talking about this shutdown. But we also, again, need to make clear how weak Donald Trump is. So weak, in fact, that he had to share an AI video, a fake video of Chuck Schumer to try to blame Democrats for the shutdown. That is the point of desperation that we are at. and I want to take a look at just this ridiculous attempt to smear Democrats. A GOP attack ad deepfakes Chuck Schumer with AI. A new attack ad from Senate Republicans uses Senator Chuck Schumer's real words about the government shutdown, but in an AI deepfake of the Democratic Senate Minority Leader. The 30-second video posted on X and YouTube by the National Republican Senatorial Committee on Friday raised alarms among many observers who warned it crossed a new boundary in politics and could unleash a flood of AI-generated deepfake attack ads.
Every day gets better for us.
Chuck Schumer thinks playing with Americans' livelihoods is just a game. When asked about the government shutdown, Schumer said,
Every day gets better for us.
"Really, Chuck? How's that?"
This is really how desperate Republicans are. They're literally making shit up about the shit that they're making up. Not only are the lies that they're telling about policy stupid, idiotic, and easy to see through, but this video is so obviously AI. It is ridiculous that Republicans think that their voters are this stupid. And it's also really scary that we have already gotten to the point where deepfakes are something that Republicans are defending. This is a type of lying that honestly should be criminalized in campaigns. There is no reason that you should be able to make, publish, and try to pretend as if they're real deepfake videos of your opponents. That is a scary line that we are crossing, but Republicans do not care because they are incredibly desperate. They will do anything right now to try to shift blame and to try to lie. And it's not just in DC. They are also incredibly desperate to beat someone in New York City. Zohran Mamdani, who also creates a lot of fear in the hearts of the billionaires who are pushing their AI slop on us and trying to lie in algorithms. And Zohran sat down with Jen Psaki in an interview that I want to check out because as we get so close to early voting, which is about a week away in New York City, I think it's time that we hear from the next mayor, Zohran Mamdani.
But what did you make of your opponent's answers on how and if they would stand up to Trump?
You know, I think we saw the fact that while Donald Trump wasn't on that stage, his puppet Andrew Cuomo was. And we saw not only just the same kind of name-calling and distractions, but the inability to stand up to the very billionaires that have been funding both the Trump administration and the Cuomo campaign. And what New Yorkers are looking for right now, as the Trump administration is detaining young girls as young as 6 years old and deporting them out of the city, is a mayor who will actually stand up for the people of the city. And frankly, we did not see that in Andrew Cuomo. And we even saw more willingness to stand up from the Republican candidate because unlike Cuomo, he can't be bought by the same donors.
It's quite a place to find yourself. Let's talk about a specific example, because I think the reason this question was so important is that cities like New York City and Chicago and other blue cities are just the targets by the Trump administration, as you've talked about. Now, Trump is currently trying to withhold billions of dollars of infrastructure funding from New York City as part of his shutdown strategy, as you're well aware. You talked about this a little bit in the debate, but how specifically would you respond as mayor to make sure his retribution campaign doesn't hurt everyday New Yorkers? Because it could have a big impact if he keeps holding it back.
You know, I think time and time again, we see Donald Trump try to make this into a personal battle of political retribution. But these are attacks not on any one representative. They're attacks on the entire city. And what my job as mayor would be to tell New Yorkers how the suspension of $18 billion would continue to trap them in bumper-to-bumper traffic. It would continue to leave them in long train delays. And it would actually rob tens of thousands of New Yorkers of the jobs that they could have if this money that we're owed was actually to be delivered to us. And what I would also do is not treat the words of Donald Trump as law just by virtue of them coming out of his mouth. We've seen Democrats across the country, especially in California, come together to put together legal lawsuits that have then resulted that for every dollar they spend, more than $30,000 in federal funds being received that would have otherwise been withheld. It's important that we have a mayor who can work with the attorney general here, work with the governor here. I'm proud to have both of their endorsements. We would work together to protect New Yorkers from these kinds of political acts of retribution.
Yeah, preparing for legal action feels, unfortunately, like the part of every elected official's job in this moment. Andrew Cuomo said a lot of things tonight. He said during the debate that you are not, quote, representative of the Muslim community of New York. What on earth do you think he meant by that? And what is your message to Muslim New Yorkers about why they should choose you over him to be the next mayor?
You know, I can't tell you what exactly he meant by that. I can only say that it took this campaign for Andrew Cuomo to actually understand that there is a Muslim community in this city and in this state. He was the governor for 10 years. He couldn't name a single mosque that he went to. I'm proud to be the first Muslim candidate on the verge of becoming the mayor of this city. And I know that what Muslim New Yorkers want is what every New Yorker wants: respect and dignity. And too often it's been denied on the basis of bigotry. And we saw some of that bigotry right here on this stage today. And we've seen it from Andrew Cuomo's campaign that has sent out mailers artificially lengthening my beard, where he's smeared me as a terrorist sympathizer. He has used the very kind of language that has pushed Muslim New Yorkers to the margins of our society, when in fact what we should do is treat each and every New Yorker as the same. And that's what I would do as the next mayor of this city.
Your relationship with New York's Jewish community also came up in tonight's debate. I know that you recently have been reaching out to rabbis and community leaders. There's been some reporting about this, too, who you disagree with and who disagree with you on your positions on Israel. And I think you're trying to build bridges. You can talk about this. But we've also seen some polling, which is quite interesting for people who aren't embedded in all the New York City politics like we all are, that shows there's this growing generational divide within the Jewish community when it comes to Israel. This is in other parts of the country, too, where many younger Jewish people have moved away from the positions their parents had when it comes to Israel, and maybe still have. If you're elected mayor of the city with the world's largest Jewish population, what will you do to make sure that you're healing those generational divisions and really trying to continue to build bridges, or better build bridges, with people who have concerns about you and feel fearful?
I think the first thing is to make clear that I'm looking to lead this entire city, not just the New Yorkers who vote for me, whether in the primary or the general election, but all 8.5 million people who call the city home. And that means a number of Jewish New Yorkers who I've had the pleasure of meeting with over these last few months, and even before that during the primary. And what I have said time and time again is that no matter what a New Yorker feels about Israel and Palestine, and whether they disagree with me, I'm looking to be their mayor as well. And I know that a number of Jewish New Yorkers are seeing a rising anti-Semitism in this city, and they want a mayor who can actually address it directly. And I'm committed to doing that, increasing funding for hate crime prevention programs, ensuring that police continue to have a presence outside of synagogues and temples during the high holy days, and that we are actually implementing a curriculum that celebrates the breadth and the beauty of Jewish New Yorkers right here in New York City. Because too often, frankly, the language is only, will you protect Jewish New Yorkers? It also has to be, will you celebrate and cherish those New Yorkers? And I will do that for Jewish New Yorkers and for every New Yorker, because this is their city.
Zoran has always shown what it looks like for members of our party to really fight. And soon he's going to show what it looks like for them to really fight and win. This is the type of leadership that we need. This is the type of fight that we need. We're going to keep talking about it, as we have all year long on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.